All right. You said your name is Marvin, and
Yep.
you go by Bad. What does Bad mean again for you, man?
Bad means black activists dominating dynasties. I want to make it to where lower income people can have the rights and experience like the joys we're supposed to.
That's cool, man. For sure. That's cool. All right. So I really thank you for doing this interview, man. I appreciate it.
No problem.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how open-minded would you say you are? 10 being the least open-minded, or 10 being the most open-minded, 1 being the least open-minded?
So I'm about a 8.
8. All right. That's cool.
8.
Do you think you should look at both sides of an argument before you come to a decision on something?
That's how my mama raised me. If you look at one side of an argument, you're not looking at an argument. You're looking at an opinion.
I agree. All right. Do you trust your senses, like crossing the street, putting your clothes on every day? Kind of like
Yes and no.
yes and no?
When it comes to crossing the street, put my clothes on, fully trust those senses. But there are situations to where they feel like crossing the street, but they're deeper.
All right.
And that's when I become skeptical on my own opinion towards something.
That's kind of a good answer. All right. Never heard. All right. Gotcha. Do you trust the government?
No,
No. All right. Fair enough.
the government don't trust the government.
I can't argue with that, man. Do you think the majority's always right?
The minority,
The majority.
oh, I'm answering you. The
Oh.
minority is usually incorrect, but so is the majority. It's just that the majority has the stronger opinion. So basically, if I say 2 + 2 = 7, so the whole city starts saying that, that's just what it's going to be, whether it's true or false.
That's a good answer. All right. How do you think everything came to be? Do you believe in like the Big Bang, creationism, like God created everything, or do you believe, or you don't really have a belief on it?
I study into spirituality, I study into Christian, Hindi, and I study a little bit into Buddhism. And I like science. I love outer space. Like, I can tell you how black holes form. They're just density of different iron type, like metal type materials. And I feel like overall, the one thing I have learned is if you actually pay attention to what you're reading, they all seem to be talking about the same story. So I'm not sure yet.
That's a fair answer. What would be your definition of science?
My definition of science would be understanding magic.
All right. Would you agree with me? Science should be observable, measurable, testable, and repeatable.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. Do you think science should ever be a closed book?
That's a good one. Yes.
You think it should be?
Yeah, I just started my head on it because it was a little 50-50. But if I had to go one way, I would say yes for the fact of how the average person would use these powers.
Yeah. So can you give me an example? What shouldn't be questioned in science?
Things that shouldn't be questioned in science are things that create natural life. Things we should question are things that destroy them.
All right. Fair. To you, what's the difference between a belief and a knowing?
Okay, so the difference between a belief and a knowing is simple to me. So when you know something, it's a feeling that resides inside of you that you don't need proof on, that proof will reveal itself on. A belief is more like you want it to be this way because if it isn't, then things aren't good.
All right. Would you agree with me? A knowing would be like there's two entities you're talking right now. That's a 100% knowing.
Yep.
All right. I always put a caveat on this. So like I'll give you $5 for the interview, and then 95% of people don't agree with what I'm going to come at you with here, and
Okay.
It is what it is. I'm just going to let you know. It's just your whatever you believe.
Before you tell me, can I give you a piece of advice?
Yeah.
Fuck everybody else's opinion.
I'm with you.
When you're doing this, you're creating your image. You need your image to see. You need the world to see your image. So some people are gonna disagree. A lot might.
Well, you've already kind of said one thing or whatever that kind of contradict. I'm assuming you're not going to believe what I've said or whatever on this, but
Right.
like you said, you're allowed to have your own opinion on things,
Exactly.
man. So I mean, F everyone else or whatever, and that's why I go out here and trust. And maybe you'll go out and look at it because you said you're spiritual and whatever. Maybe
Very
you'll look at this.
Let's hear it.
But a lot of people ridicule this subject. 95% of the majority believes what I'm, but I'm one of the 5% that question it.
Okay.
So what shape do you think the Earth is, man? Do you believe it's flat? Do you believe it's without form? Or do you believe it's an oblate spheroid like you've always been taught? Or do you believe it's some other type of shape?
From what I learned from outer space, scientifically proven, there is no perfect circular shape that hasn't been purposely created.
Mm-hmm.
So even if it was rounded, it wouldn't be a perfect circle. But in my most honest opinion, I think the planet that we live on isn't a planet at all.
What do you think it is?
Shoot, I wish I had the answer to that because it don't give me no vibe of, oh, we're in a simulation, but it don't give me a vibe that we're not. It don't. How the weather acts, it acts like there's certain phenomena that happen that can only happen on a flat surface, but then there's some that can only happen on a spheric shape.
Yeah.
So if I had to overall define it, I would say the shape of our planet is shapeless.
See, it's like without form. That's
Without
kinda,
form.
That's I go. It's what it says at the very beginning of the Bible. It
Some-
says God made the earth and it was without form.
Something that's without form, but can control and hold dense beings like us.
All right, I can't argue with that, man. I mean, all right.
Like a cloud. Like if you go high enough into our atmosphere, you don't even have to leave Earth. So I found out last year, Earth's atmosphere passes the moon. It goes past the moon.
Yeah.
So when you go up higher in Earth, before you even leave off of it in our atmosphere, it gets denser. Like you can literally freeze things. Like they'll stop in place because it's so dense up there. So
do you believe that they actually land on the moon and stuff, or do you think they're lying to us about everything?
scientifically, you couldn't because, all right, so they taught us in school that the sun sits like this and we spin around it. When in fact, the sun's shooting through space like a bullet. The sun has traveled around the Milky Way galaxy 24 times, which makes the sun and all the planets around it 24 billion years old. So it's shooting around a circle like a bullet, so there's no possible way. Have you ever jumped out of a moving car?
I went slow or something. I went fast.
But it's
man.
still kind of, you had to catch yourself.
Yeah.
You're leaving a planet that's shooting like a bullet, incomprehensible. The sun is moving faster than any bullet we've ever saw.
They tell us the sun's moving 500,000 miles an hour. That's what they tell us.
I think it's moving faster than that.
Yeah.
Because to travel around the Milky Way galaxy 24 times, you'd have to be going way faster than
So do you think the Earth is actually traveling around the sun though?
I mean, the concept would only work if it was caught in this bullet sphere.
Yeah.
Like when you shoot a bullet and dust particles get caught in that bullet sphere, that would be the only thing that makes sense. But they also do say in science that the Earth was not always in the sun's gravitational orbit. So in my most honest opinion, for something to be able to get caught in the sun's sphere, the sun would not be able, it wouldn't be moving. So the fact that the sun is moving, I believe all those statements are false.
All right, that's fair. Do you know anything about like fluid dynamics, how liquids behave?
A little bit.
I bet you can understand this.
Okay.
I mean, how they are. You do know. Would you agree with me? In our reality, 1,000,000% of the time, water will take the shape of its container in a cup, in a
Yes.
pool, in a bath.
And
100
humans,
Yeah.
water takes the shape of what it is. Water is
What-
fluid. It cannot be held, but it can hold all.
So what? If the Earth's covered in over 72% water, and if
Yep.
water always takes the shape of its container,
Right.
how could it be a sphere?
Right. If it's taking the shape of that container, that's a circle.
If it's a circle clung to the, you'd have to believe it's clung to the exterior of the sphere,
The
though, right?
only way that would be possible if our gravity was denser than they said it was.
All right. Do you think we breathe the same stuff in space?
I think that space in itself is hidden because it's so unexpectedly simple. So for all we know, as soon as you leave Earth, like you ever watch Rick and Morty, as soon as you leave Earth, there's just animals in outer space.
Yeah, Rick and Morty.
Like there could just be animals floating right past. There could be, like for example, I don't know if you know a lot about Nostradamus, but he read this book. I cannot remember the name
They
of it.
predict a lot of stuff.
That's why the book is interesting, because he didn't write it. It was a book he believed in. And that book states several times that the moon was not always here. It came one day. This book proves it. And if you look at a lot of old geographical maps that show you the stars and everything, on a lot of the older ones, the moon didn't exist. So like the concept of outer space in itself could be just as simple as we're already in outer space, and if we go up, we actually go to Earth. We don't know because they won't tell us.
All right,
They only don't tell us
that's
things
a
that
cool-
the mass can't handle.
All right, so you think the government's probably lying to us about what outer space is about?
They are. They have
Oh
to
yeah,
be.
I'm with you. So that's like a thing that I say, like in our reality, like we both agreed, water takes shape of its container.
Yep.
So that kind of tells me that kind of contradicts like what they're telling us about the Earth, and then like space, they say is a vacuum. What we're taught by
Right,
the
a vacuum.
mainstream, it's like almost a negative pressure system.
Yep.
As
Negative
close as you
pressure
get-
system.
And
That's
we
a
live in a
great way.
positive pressure system.
Yes, we do.
I go to science again, and just like water cannot conform to the exterior shape, a positive pressure system against a negative pressure system with no solid barrier cannot exist. So would you be able to give me a practical example of two opposing pressure systems existing side by side without a solid barrier? Because they're telling us our atmosphere is adjacent to the vacuum of space.
Oil and water. You can set oil right on top of water and it will not interact until you choose to make it.
Yeah, I'm talking about actually gas pressure.
Oh,
though.
gas.
And a
Gas is-
positive pressure system against a negative pressure system. Like you use
It's
pressure.
impossible.
Yeah, but they're telling us our atmosphere is adjacent to the vacuum of space.
But that's impossible.
Yeah, but I'm like when you said you were spiritual and stuff, and right at the very beginning of the Bible it
Right.
says the firmament. So I mean,
Oh, you're going deep.
well,
You're
I've
going
looked in
deep.
this deep, man, and so I mean, the Bible says the firmament, water's above, water's below.
You want my honest? Let me go back to one of your questions. This is my honest answer on what I think outer space is.
What is it?
Purgatory.
Purgatory, outer space?
Purgatory.
I can't prove you wrong, man.
If you read in the Bible, the Leviathans were created before the angels. They were literally created before and are stronger, more powerful than the angel. Also in the Bible, it says that God damned the Leviathans to purgatory, but he would not leave his children unsustenized. I mean, he put them somewhere where they cannot hurt or harm anyone, but they can still consume. He describes purgatory as a vast void of nothingness,
Sounds
filled
like
with
space.
life.
All right.
So
Hey,
if we had
sounds-
to base it off religion, purgatory. and
right.
we're somewhere where we're deeper than hell. We're somewhere where the things in purgatory, they consume us. We're just a snack, basically.
I gotcha. So you almost think like there's like a type of shadow government controlling us over top or whatever, in a way. Like
It has to be.
the
The only thing that our government doesn't tell us about is things that it can't do anything about.
Hey, I can't argue with it, man. Hey, have you ever heard of what the Polaris, the North Star, is? It's above the North Pole,
Okay.
basically. It's like, and I like to say like.
Oh, like the
like
actual North Star.
The North Star.
Oh, all right.
Polaris, the North Star.
What is
yeah.
it called?
It's called Polaris. It's
Polaris.
the North Star.
I didn't know that. All right.
Yeah,
Polaris.
it's above the North Pole, and like I like to say it's like a realm we live in, formless realm, whatever.
Okay.
And it's a fact. You can look at the North Star, and everything, it vibrates a little bit, but everything does like perfect geocentric circles around it.
Really?
So, would you be able to disprove that everything's actually spinning around us, causing a Coriolis effect in each part of the world? The moon would push the tides, the sun would contract the tides.
Yeah.
They say if you shoot a bullet west when the sun's there,
Mhm.
it'll dip down because of the Coriolis effect. I say that's based off a false axiom.
Mm.
And if you shoot a bullet west at nighttime when the moon's there, it's going to bounce up. You know the difference between eclipses? Like solar eclipse, lunar
Yeah.
eclipse?
I
You
know
want me to
like
go
a
over 'em real
solar
quick?
and a lunar eclipse.
Yeah, solar's when the moon goes in front of the
In front
sun.
of the sun.
And then the lunar, what they're taught, if you believe what the mainstream's telling us, is
Ain't
the
both
sun.
of them lunars.
No, it's no one solar's moon in front of the sun. Lunar,
But don't luminary mean light?
luminary means light, yeah. But I'm just talking
So
about
wouldn't both of them be
And
light?
solar also means like
yeah. It's well,
it's a type of
But
light.
Yeah.
since the moon comes at night, it covers the sun.
Yep.
well the
One's
moon.
during the night, one's
That's
during the day.
why it's
Basically.
an eclipse.
Oh, that's in this theory I'm talking about. That's what it says. It's they tell you, the mainstream tells you, if you put both your hands out like this,
Right.
like right in the middle, say the sun's or the moon, the Earth is in between both your hands.
Right.
Sun's
Have
on
you
one
ever
side,
looked at the sun?
moon's on the other side. They tell you in mainstream the sun is casting the Earth's shadow on the moon, and that's what most people believe. You
Right.
know, 90%, 95% of the population believe it. But you'd agree the sun's round, right?
Right.
In this theory, we believe the sun, space and time ain't bending, and we believe it's actually the sun that's casting that curved shadow on the moon.
That makes. All right. So how I feel. So firstly, light travels, and light has to reflect off of an object.
But
So if the moon's over here and the sun's over here, the sun's light's coming this way. Even if it were to hit the moon, the shadow of the moon wouldn't reflect to Earth. It would reflect past, like whatever is behind us. So logically, that doesn't make any sense, and I've never thought about that.
what, the sun blocking out the moon, you don't think?
I don't
Or-
think not necessarily the sun blocking out the moon, but the sun causing, being
Ain't
the
no
main
sun.
cause
Of the
of the
lunar-
moon's reflection.
Oh yeah, well no, I'm saying yeah. So we're kind of almost on the same agreement. Like I think so. You think it's possible the moon's its own personal light,
It
basically?
has to be.
Yeah. All right, we're on the same opinion then, man, on the whole subject. All right, so I mean, yeah, we're basically on the same opinion, and you're open-minded already, man. So it is what it is. I appreciate the interview very much.
I used to have dreams I couldn't explain, man.
Hey, I'm with you, man. All right, thank you for the interview. I appreciate it, dude.
No problem at all.